Right now, something extraordinary is about to unfold within your awareness. This message is meant to support those who feel misunderstood by society because of their conscious, joyful choice to live in solitude, outside the traditional social assumptions about human pairing. Although we will speak about the phenomenon of women choosing mindful, intentional solitude, in truth this applies to men just as much. It is simply that men are far more easily forgiven for such a choice by society, which tends to explain it away as a natural expression of masculinity. Throughout history, men have always carried the social permission to live without a partner more easily than women. Yet in the last decades, as collective humanity restructures itself to a new level of consciousness and profound spiritual awakening, more and more women are stepping into this same path. These women often face judgment and social stigma. People start to pity them or impose outdated expectations about what, in their opinion, a woman is supposed to want. This message is not a call to live alone. It does not diminish in any way those who choose partnership, create families, raise children, and find joy in that role. Instead, it exists to support those who genuinely find pleasure, fulfillment, and happiness in solitude, and to help their loved ones, both men and women, who worry that something must be wrong with them or that they need saving. With this understanding, you may realize that these individuals are perhaps the happiest people in your circle, and you will finally stop worrying about them. When you understand the quantum science of energy and consciousness, you begin to see that women living alone have discovered a remarkably powerful formula for cultivating pure magnetism. Not just attractiveness in the ordinary sense, but a force of nature that literally shifts the electromagnetic field around them. At this very moment, your heart and brain are generating electromagnetic fields that extend far beyond the boundaries of your physical body. These fields are measurable and quantifiable, which is astonishing in itself. Over the past decade, the number of women choosing to live alone has increased by 30%. Studies show that these women consistently exhibit higher levels of what scientists call coherent energetic signatures, patterns that remain foreign to the traditional worldview of society, where most people instinctively avoid such states. But that avoidance belongs to an old paradigm, an outdated program from a time when we did not understand the transformative power of conscious solitude. Numbers do not lie. Women living alone are 42% more likely to build successful businesses, 38% more likely to hold leadership positions, and they report significantly higher life satisfaction. Your brain, by design, is wired for safety and the preservation of a high-quality life. And here lies a beautiful truth. Every time a woman chooses herself and chooses solitude, she is literally rewiring her neural pathways. She breaks free from the collective consciousness that has limited human potential for centuries. Consider this. Your nervous system is like an antenna, constantly transmitting and receiving information from the quantum field. When you live alone, you are not just changing your physical address. You are shifting your foundational energetic frequency. You begin to resonate with the vibration of self-sufficiency, a vibration that magnetically draws others toward you. This is not a theory. This is the leading edge of personal transformation science. Let me share something remarkable about the brain. When you spend intentional time alone, your prefrontal cortex, the command center responsible for decision-making, undergoes a transformation similar to a computer receiving a full operating system upgrade. Yet this upgrade happens naturally when you are truly with yourself. Think of what occurs in typical social environments. People constantly adjust their behavior, thoughts, and energy to match those around them, automatically, unconsciously. But those who live alone break this pattern every single day. Their brains carve entirely new neural pathways that are no longer dictated by societal expectations. Here's the scientific explanation. Every decision you make independently, without seeking outside approval, triggers a neurochemical cascade: dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. These are not merely happiness hormones. They physically reshape the architecture of your neural networks. Women who live alone engage in this process hundreds of times a day, creating what neuroscientists call enhanced neuroplasticity. Dr. Joe Dispenza often shares an example from one of his workshops. A woman who had lived with others until age 45 finally decided to embrace independent living. Within 6 months, brain scans revealed something extraordinary. Her gray matter density increased in areas responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making. She hadn't just changed her living circumstances. She had upgraded the very hardware of her brain. Research shows that during solitary living, the brain's default mode network, the region activated when we are not focused on the external world, develops higher levels of complexity. It becomes akin to possessing a more powerful internal processor. You are not just thinking your thoughts, you are cultivating metacognitive awareness, the ability to observe your own mental patterns. Now imagine this. Every morning, when you wake up alone, your mind is not processing someone else's emotional field, moods, or needs. It tunes itself exclusively to your own frequency. This creates neural coherence, a state where your brain waves function in harmonious synchronization, like a finely tuned orchestra. But here is the most astonishing part. This coherence does not arise in isolation. Harmonized brainwaves generate a stronger, more structured electromagnetic field. And yes, it is measurable. Studies consistently show that women living alone display more organized patterns of electromagnetic, cardiac, and brain coherence. Solitude becomes a laboratory of neuroevolution. Every independent challenge, whether fixing something, making a crucial decision, or observing your emotional landscape, strengthens neural pathways that remain underdeveloped in most people. You become what scientists call a self-referential individual, someone who processes life through inner wisdom rather than external validation. This is not antisocial behavior. It is the evolution of the nervous system to a point where interaction with others comes from genuine authenticity and independence. Your mind no longer searches for completion in other people. It shifts into a fully self-sufficient state. Recent discoveries in neuroplasticity demonstrate that this independent style of living actually increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a compound essential for the growth of new neural connections. It functions like a nutrient for the mind. You are not simply living alone. You are actively developing your brain's ability to stand in its own strength, resilience, and autonomy. And this is where something even more fascinating begins. Solitary living becomes a masterclass in emotional intelligence. Most people go through life in an unconscious dance of emotional dependency. They reflect their feelings through others, regulate their emotions through external sources, and seek comfort in constant validation. But when a person lives alone, especially when they choose it consciously, something profoundly transformative happens. They begin cultivating what scientists call emotional self-regulation, the ability to understand, process, and balance one's emotional states without needing an external anchor. Your nervous system actually becomes more refined, more capable of handling emotional complexity. Your innate emotional strength and resilience begin to reveal themselves. Picture this. When you feel sadness, anger, or joy, while no one is there to share it with you, you are compelled to develop what can only be described as emotional sovereignty. Your brain starts building neural circuits specifically dedicated to emotional mastery. Consider the study conducted by a neuroscientist comparing women who live independently with women who live in shared environments. The findings were astonishing. Women living alone showed a 47% increase in activity in the regions of the brain responsible for emotional awareness and emotional control. These women were not merely coping with emotions, they were excelling at them. And here is the truly remarkable part. This emotional mastery creates a unique energetic imprint. When you are capable of sitting with your own emotions fully, without needing approval, support, or rescue, your entire frequency shifts. You stop radiating emotional need or dependency. Instead, you emit what quantum physicists refer to as coherent emotional energy, a stable, powerful, vibrational state. People feel this resonance even if they cannot articulate it. They are drawn to your presence precisely because you require nothing from them emotionally. You have become your own emotional sanctuary. Now consider what happens to those who perceive solitude as something frightening or oppressive. Most people, when left alone, instantly grab their phones, seeking distraction, reassurance, or comfort through others. But when you truly live alone, you develop the extraordinary ability to find joy and comfort within yourself, regardless of external circumstances. Your intuition heightens. The influence of the collective unconscious over your mind weakens. Your brain forms new neural pathways that associate solitude with emotional strength rather than loneliness. This is a pivotal shift. It changes your relationship with the world on a fundamental level. Where others feel emptiness, you feel completeness. Where others seek emotional energy from others, you become a generator of positive emotional energy from within. Studies show that women who cultivate this emotional independence exhibit extremely high levels of what psychologists call affective tolerance, the capacity to remain centered, stable, and resilient despite external conditions. They become emotional beacons, strong, grounded individuals who inspire others simply by existing in a state of internal harmony. Let me share something essential about energy and consciousness. In quantum physics, we understand that everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies. When a woman lives alone, she begins to access what scientists call coherent energetic states. This is not abstract theory. It directly shapes your personal energetic field. Every thought you have, every emotion you feel sends ripples through the quantum field around you. Most people's energy fields are constantly disrupted by the emotional and mental imprints of others. But when you live alone, something extraordinary takes place. Your energetic field becomes organized, structured, and coherent. You no longer unconsciously blend your energy with the energy of others on a daily basis. Imagine waking up every morning in a space that belongs solely to you. No emotional residues from anyone else. No foreign moods unconsciously impacting your field. This creates what quantum physicists call a pure state. Dr. Joe Dispenza often says, "I have witnessed this countless times at our advanced workshops." When they measure the electromagnetic fields of women living alone, the readings consistently reveal more organized patterns. Their heart coherence measurements, recorded through advanced equipment, show stronger, more stable rhythms. And this is precisely where manifestation becomes supercharged. When your energy field is not constantly entangled with the fields of others, you become a clear transmitter within the quantum field. Your intentions sharpen. Your ability to attract what you desire becomes more precise. You stop sending mixed signals to the universe. Here's the astonishing part. Women living alone frequently report quantum leaps in personal evolution, sudden profound shifts in awareness. These occur because they are able to maintain a stable energetic frequency for extended periods. Think about this deeply. You are not merely living alone. You are actively participating in your own evolution at the quantum level. Research shows that our cells respond to the state of our energetic field. When you maintain coherent energy through conscious solitude, you literally improve cellular function. Your DNA becomes more receptive to positive change. You are not just changing your lifestyle, you are changing your biology. This is why women living alone often age more slowly, show higher immunity, and manifest opportunities with greater ease. They are not simply single. They are functioning on an entirely different frequency. Their energetic signature becomes so unique and powerful that it naturally attracts aligned opportunities and relationships. And here's the most surprising part. Quantum coherence is contagious in the best possible way. It draws people like a magnet. When you cultivate this level of energetic sovereignty, you become extraordinarily attractive to those who never learn to enjoy their own company, to women who fear solitude, and even to men who have grown accustomed to receiving emotional energy from women. To them, you appear like a rare diamond, someone who has discovered the secret of not seeking validation, yet radiating joy and power. And if such a woman does one day choose to enter a relationship, she does so from the strongest and healthiest place possible. Not from fear, not from the desire to shift responsibility onto someone else, not to win approval from society, but from her own grounded decision, one in which she knows her worth, with or without a partner. And ironically, this is exactly the kind of woman people fear losing. This is the kind of woman someone naturally wants to cherish, to protect, to create an environment where being with them feels even better than being alone. People are drawn to her energy because it is stable, complete, powerful. She does not seek energy from others. She generates it from within. Your body is an extraordinary biological instrument, constantly responding to authenticity. When women live alone, something remarkable takes place beneath the surface, on the invisible level. Every cell of your body contains receptors that respond to energetic signals, to emotions emitted by other living beings, and most importantly, to your own genuine self-expression. Consider what happens in typical shared living situations. Your biology is constantly adapting to the presence, rhythms, and needs of others. But when you live alone, your cells begin to remember their original frequency. They begin functioning according to your biological rhythm, your true internal clock. Let me share some astonishing findings from Joe Dispenza and his research team. Blood samples collected from women who had been living alone for more than a year revealed elevated levels of proteins associated with cellular repair and regeneration. Their bodies weren't merely existing, They were thriving in a state of authenticity. Your nervous system holds the memory of every moment you diminished yourself to meet someone else's expectations, every time you dimmed your inner light, every moment you broke your natural rhythm to synchronize with someone else's. But here lies the beautiful aspect of living alone. Your nervous system begins to reboot. It returns to its original code, shedding conditioned patterns piece by piece. The biology of authenticity is not simply a pleasant feeling. It is a literal reorganization that supports your true nature. When you live alone, your circadian rhythm finally synchronizes with your true bodily needs. Stress hormones regulate themselves according to your authentic patterns, not someone else's schedule, not someone else's energy. I once knew a woman in her early 40s who began living alone after a painful marriage and divorce. At first, she was terrified of the future, of loneliness, and of the pitiful looks other women gave her. But within 3 months, she experienced a transformation so profound, physically, emotionally, energetically, that everyone around her noticed. They were struck by her calmness, her radiance, her peace, qualities rare in the modern world. People constantly asked if she had fallen in love, and she would smile and answer, "Yes, I have fallen in love, with life and with the freedom to give myself the attention I never had before." No one who interacted with her would ever say she was unhappy or incomplete. She looked younger, stronger, more confident. Men admired her, but she chose to live with herself, without resentment, without scars from her past. She said she believed in the possibility of a new relationship someday, but only if she felt the man truly deserved her already happy life and could make it even better. When you live alone in harmony and pleasure, your energetic signals become clear and aligned. You return to yourself without the weight of social expectations. You change at the cellular level. You literally allow your genes to express themselves more effectively. But here is what is truly astonishing. Biological authenticity creates what scientists call signature purity. People can feel it, even if they cannot explain it. When someone lives in full alignment with their true nature, their cells transmit a signal of unmistakable inner power. And here is the paradox that seems unbelievable at first. The more comfortable you are in solitude, the more magnetically attractive you become to others. This is not just a poetic idea. It has scientific grounding. Living alone naturally releases you from the social patterns of dependency. Most people live in a constant loop of seeking external confirmation of their worth. They compare, they check, they crave reassurance. But in women who live alone, something extraordinary develops, an internal system of orientation independent of outside approval. Your brain shifts its reward patterns. Instead of dopamine from social validation, you receive it from self-realization and personal accomplishments. This creates what scientists call the magnetic paradox. The less you need the energy of others, the more they are drawn to yours. Now let me tell you something truly remarkable. In a study conducted by Dr. Joe Dispenza, women who had lived alone for more than 2 years displayed drastically different brainwave patterns during social interactions. Their minds were not searching for completion or validation from others. They operated from a place of internal wholeness. This wholeness creates a unique energetic signature. Think about this carefully. When you are no longer unconsciously leaking energy through dependency patterns, when you are not constantly seeking something from others, Your energy field becomes concentrated and powerful, like a battery that is fully charged, rather than one that is constantly draining. Dr. Dispenza has observed this transformation countless times. Women who master independent living develop what psychologists call secure autonomy. They can connect deeply with others while maintaining complete energetic sovereignty. And this combination is irresistibly attractive, not because they are trying to attract anyone, but because inner wholeness radiates outward. Their presence becomes an invitation for others to experience that same fullness within themselves. You do not attract through need, you attract through overflow. People unconsciously exchange energy all the time, often in dependent ways. But women who have mastered solitude become generators rather than consumers of emotional and energetic power. And here is the miracle. They do not get drained. They do not lose their strength, because their source of energy is their own inner alignment. This fundamentally transforms every relationship dynamic. Studies show that women living alone create stronger personal boundaries, communicate more clearly, and build healthier, more authentic connections. They choose to interact only with those who genuinely resonate with their new frequency. When you live alone, something extraordinary happens to your personal growth. Every difficulty, every decision, every creative moment comes from you alone, without unconscious delegation or shared responsibility. Your brain becomes a high-speed learning engine. Without someone to consult for every daily choice, your prefrontal cortex, the executive center of the brain, grows stronger, more refined, and more efficient. It becomes a personal trainer for your decision-making skills. Each solved problem, each creative solution layers itself on top of previous experience. Living alone teaches the brain, again and again, that it can handle anything. And this is what creates exponential growth. Our brain contains a phenomenal capacity to strengthen pathways of self-trust each time we successfully navigate challenges on our own. Solitary living continuously trains the nervous system to rely on its inner compass. Instead of seeking external validation, the mind learns to recognize and trust its own signals, its own wisdom. Women living alone don't merely make decisions, they build a neurological foundation of deep self-confidence. Consider what happens in moments of uncertainty. Most people instantly look outward for reassurance, guidance, or protection. But in solitary life, internal markers of certainty develop naturally. The nervous system becomes attuned to inner knowing. Research reveals something astonishing. Women who live alone show significantly higher intuitive accuracy. Their brains become better at identifying and trusting intuitive impressions because they practice this skill every day. And here is the most remarkable part. As self-confidence grows, the need for external approval dissolves. This shift literally rewires the brain. The brain begins seeking confirmation not from the outside world, but from its own accumulated wisdom and lived experience. Every successful act of self-reliance triggers neurochemicals that strengthen the corresponding neural networks, much like exercising a muscle. Each repetition makes it stronger, more reliable, more aligned. You are not simply living alone. You are reconfiguring your mind for independence. Brain scans of women who had lived alone for 5 years revealed extraordinary coherence in regions associated with confidence, self-assurance, and inner authority during decision-making tasks. These were not mere choices. They were decisions made from a deep sense of inner certainty. Without constantly processing other people's energy, your creative force amplifies. Most people do not realize that creativity is not limited to art or music. Creativity is how you solve problems, how you perceive the world, how you bring your desires into form. When no one's thoughts, opinions, or emotional needs compete for your attention, the brain naturally enters flow state more often. It's not just that you have more time to be creative, you have more energetic space to express your creativity. The quantum field responds differently to focused creative energy. You become a magnet for creation, attracting opportunities that match your clarity. Manifestation accelerates because your energy is no longer dispersed among others. Solitude releases creative power not only in artistic expression, it allows you to sculpt your life in the exact shape you desire. Every decision, every choice, every action becomes an act of conscious creation. I have witnessed women transform their entire lives through this heightened creative force. They do not simply dream bigger, they finally understand what they truly want. And they manifest those dreams with astonishing clarity and speed because their creative energy is aligned, concentrated, and entirely their own. Right now, in this very moment, a shift is taking place in human consciousness. Women living alone are not only changing their own lives, they are creating waves that affect the entire field of human potential. Each woman who masters this way of being becomes a lighthouse, demonstrating to others that everything is possible, that being alone is not frightening, it is vital, powerful, and deeply nourishing. Think about the impact you have simply by living authentically, by choosing yourself, by mastering your energy, by embodying your truth. You change not only your own reality, you influence the collective consciousness. Your energetic signature becomes part of what scientists call the morphic field, subtly shaping the unconscious of humanity in ways we are only beginning to understand. Studies clearly show that when even a small percentage of people operate at higher levels of consciousness, the entire quantum field, and thus the collective psyche, begins to shift. Women who master independent living are not just evolving themselves, they are contributing to the evolution of human awareness. Every time you choose yourself, trust your inner wisdom, and act from a place of autonomy, you send a signal into the quantum field that ripples outward, influencing others. You show the world what becomes possible when you fully embody your potential. This isn't simply about living alone. It's about living in alignment with your highest self, about becoming so magnetically whole that you naturally inspire others to awaken their own power. Your very existence becomes an invitation for others to grow. The time for playing small is over. The world needs women who are fully embodied in their strength, women who understand their magnetic nature and are unafraid to live by their own internal truth. You're not merely creating your own reality, you're helping shape a new paradigm of human consciousness. You already feel that resonance within you. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. Use this moment to feel the truth of who you are. Feel the power that arises from choosing yourself. Feel the magnetic energy you are capable of generating. The world is ready for your light. And even if you are not planning to live alone, even if you are happily partnered and love your family, the era of emotional dependence and seeking home in another person is over. Now is the time to recognize your own values, desires, and what you are truly worthy of. The time to disconnect from societal patterns that never belonged to you. Find moments, at least once a week, to be alone with yourself. to absorb the profound benefits available to those who embrace solitude. Give yourself a day, or even a few hours, devoted entirely to your own inner world. Sit in silence, tune in, listen to your inner impulse, spend time alone with the universe, practice mindfulness, observe your thoughts and emotions, distinguish your authentic voice from the noise of external conditioning. Right now, as we choose ourselves, we help the collective unconscious rise to a new level, a level where each of us exists in a state of self-worth, wholeness, and harmony, both in society and in the profound company of our own being.